All right, good afternoon and welcome back. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving and a nice break and enjoyed the incredibly nice weather that we did have. I still enjoy this weather, but it was really some fall days, but mostly just really, really nice. Uh, Hope everybody got to do something extra. And did anybody go any place? Do anything exciting? Go anywhere? I guess I need to turn my James again says yes. So you got to go somewhere and do something. James Meek says worked on projects all the way through, and he is laughing at it. So what break, huh? Well, it was a break for me. At least you didn't have to hear me rattle on for hours on hours through the week. So that was a little bit of a break. Um, is there anything else exciting on going on out there? Anybody head out anyway? James McGinn says we went to Gaylord instead of. Um, yeah, all right. That is an incredible place, the Gaylord. We went there a few years ago for the ice sculpturing. So good for you. And so got to do something a little bit different. That's good deal. Anything else? Anybody go out of town? Um, Hopefully, mostly stayed safe, whatever you did. I only had a couple accidents over the last, what was it, about 10 days that we were off, so nothing major. Um, Javier says I was supposed to go to the garden to get some inspiration, but completely forgot. Okay. Yeah, that time goes by fast, Javier, doesn't it? It goes by really quick. So it takes me, yeah. Larry said he went to Windstar. Oh, yeah. And, oh, it says lost. I thought it was going to say won $50. Oh, sorry, Larry. Well, hopefully it was $50 well spent, a good time. Hopefully you enjoyed losing the $50. So that's what it's all about if you enjoyed it. It's one thing I'm learning about woodworking. It's not the completion of the project, but it's the journey of the project. So got to do some woodworking, progressing on my park bench that I'm building out of a pallet. What was it, an 8 foot? I think it was an 8 foot pallet that I disassembled some time ago. Oh, I meant to bring that into you. Oh, we did go down. I meant to bring in not the wood pallet, but um, which brought me to my next thought about going places and doing things. We did get down to Waco, and we didn't get to Chip and Joanne's Fixer Upper site, whatever that place area is called. They're doing a lot of construction right now. They're putting a church, one of these old churches in there, and a bunch of stuff. But my wife and I both like to go at the antique stores down there. They're really good pricing, a lot of stuff. There's a couple of them that really have some really great stuff out there. So we got to go down there and check that out, one of the antique places. And I was so surprised how much I found down there that I really, I guess getting into woodworking has opened my eyes to a whole new world. I found this old wooden plane, and I meant to bring it in and show it to you guys. I thought it was really cool. So it wasn't just this old plane in this old toolbox, but this guy had this booth and he refurbished a lot of this old equipment, wood planes, mallets, hatchets, just a bunch of wood items that he redid. The handles on the axes and the wood plane is all wood handles, except for of course, the metal piece. And I need to bring that in. For me, it was really interesting. So I bought that. I bought a mallet, an old mallet, and then I bought our son. I bought him a metal plane, and I thought it was a little more modern. It's like, why the heck is it in there? But doing a little research on it, it was from the 50s, which he considers really old. You know, him being a little younger than me, and that plane was, I think, from the early 1950s. So he wanted me to get him that. So I got that. But there's just a bunch of cool tools down there that we did get. So had a good time down there, and then got to do some woodworking. And then I was cleaning out the gutters and was on a lattice patio cover, and which is the structure itself is not rickety, just the lattice portion is pretty old. It wasn't torn up until I got up there. Anyway, don't know what happened, but sent an entire leg all the way through the lattice, and so that was kind of exciting. I got yelled at for doing that, being older and being up on the because it butts up to the roof. Yeah, it was a little bit of an ouch. It was nothing serious, some scratches and scrapes from the lattice, but and then the patio lattice is flat, so the gutter, of course, runs in between there, and it's very difficult to clean up the gutters unless you get on top of the roof there. So I was on top of the roof, straddling 1 foot on the roof, one on the patio cover. As long as I was on the cross members, I was okay, and I guess I put a little too much weight forward or back and went through it with one leg. So didn't fall, and which was fortunate because there was a glass patio table right below that. So good Lord was watching out for me in that sense. So and then burnt myself on the barbecue and on Thanksgiving. So not real bad, just really a stupid thing. I'm not even going to tell you what I did. It was just really so dumb. But so I had a really exciting 10 days. I'm recovering from my rib injury and my finger. I don't know if it's going to ever recover, but my ribs are getting better. So I'm in week number 7, I think, 6, week number 6 on my rib recovery. So able to exercise, get back to full exercising somewhat this week. So took last week off as well. So that was my excitement anyway. And I'll bring in that plane because I really thought it was really cool because I need to show you a part on it, just the precision part that was actually made on that. Thanks, James, again. Yeah, appreciate that. And yeah, James makes it stops hurting yourself. Not intentional, believe me. I don't like living in pain, but I know there's a reason for it. So that's the only thing that makes it able for me to tolerate the pain is I know there's a reason for everything. All right. Well, we'll get back into landscaping, I guess. Let's open up for questions. Any discussions or anything on the landscaping portion? Anything? I know we're going to discuss today the final exam. That's one thing on the agenda today is the final exam. Discuss that. Any other questions or comments before we get into that? We only have, and this will tie into the announcement of the final exam of what's going to be on that, but we only have, 10 days, 4 days this week, 4 days next week, and then 2 days the following week. So yeah, 10 days remaining of class. So coming down to the wire really quick here. And I don't see any questions popping up. So I'll go ahead and move into the final exam. Now I'll need to make some notes myself to make sure I send out an email, which I have not because I wanted to talk to you today about it before I put it in announcements. So the final exam will consist of 2 parts. I'm making notes as I speak, just so I don't forget what I said to you guys, so I don't lie to you on the announcement. So 2 parts, and the 2 parts are both going to be drawings. There's not going to be any questions. So hold down the applause on that. The 2 drawings will be part 1, you're already working on, and that is your rotunda final project. That is your final exam, part 1. All right, so a complete sheet set that we've discussed 99.9% of the details on there. You guys have asked some great questions. I've posted a lot of things, have lots of examples out there. So that will be your final exam, part number 1. Part number 2 will be a drawing, and that will be your front yard project. So that will be part of your final exam. It'll be part number 2. All right. So those are your final. So you're working on your final exam right now. So it's going to give you plenty of time. And James Meek says, yeah, all right. So usually in class, I would ask if there was an applause or something. Brittany is smiling. All right. So thank you for those 2 feedbacks. I thought you guys might appreciate it instead of having something else to study for as we come out of one holiday, Thanksgiving, and approaching the Christmas break. It's like, how do you get geared up and then, supercharged to go into that? So James Meek says, you scared me when you said the drawing since I did bad on the last one. No, you're going to do excellent. Everybody will do excellent on this. You guys have been working on this final exam. You didn't know it, but you've been working on it. So now is the opportunity to not only complete it 100%, but get it just polished to a point that you can use it for your portfolio. You should be able to, you guys have plenty of CAD experience going through the different classes. This should be approaching one of your last classes. You may have, civil or another Revit class or something like that. And then your final projects class will, of course, be coming up for your final one. So this is an opportunity to really polish this up, not only for a great grade, but also for your portfolio. So a couple opportunities there as well. All right, so let's talk about when these are going to need to turn in. We already talked about the final project when it was due. Now we're adding the final, your front yard project. And we discussed on that it will be due on the 16th, I believe. Did we move that date up? It seems like we might have moved that date up. I'm going to have to look back on announcements here. And I know we had it on the 16th, but for some reason, yes, so we moved it to the 15th at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so both of those are due. Part 1 and Part 2 are due on December 15th by 11:59 p.m. Now, and I'll put that out as part of the announcement and announcing the final exam. So 12-15, 11:59. That still is good, but that's when both of them are the last time you can turn those in. All right, is that on the 15th by 11:59. Now, here's the other thing I'm going to do, because I know some of you are just biting at the bit to get done with me and done with this class. I'm going to open up the final exam for submission on the 30th, on December, that wouldn't be too good. December 30th, that wouldn't work out too good. Let me rephrase that. I'm going to open up the final exam for you on Wednesday the 9th. Wednesday the 9th. And I'm going to open it up probably like at 5 a.m. or something like that. So it will be open all the way up until the 15th at 11:59. Now, I'll put these directions in the final exam, so I'm just going to be repeating this. But what it will say when you open up Part 1 of the final exam for the Rotundra, it will say email one DWG file and one PDF of the entire sheet set for the Rotundra. So after you go into the final exam in Blackboard, you'll hit submit. You won't be attaching anything in there, but you have to hit submit on that. And then you will email me one email with the final the final drawing, which is the rotunda, the final project drawing, the rotunda, one DWG and one PDF for all the sheets. Then you'll go into part number 2 in Blackboard and do the same thing. Read the directions, which will say send one email of the DWG of the front yard project, a DWG, and one PDF for part 2, and you'll hit submit in Blackboard, not attaching anything, and then go to the email and email me the front yard project, one DWG, one PDF. All right, so James Meek says, you're actually disappointed I won't have you for all my class. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, James. I wish I had you for more of them. I don't know these other professors for my next classes. Well, I'll say all the instructors I hire, I think I've hired 90% of the instructors that are in our department are adjunct instructors, are very good. So you shouldn't have any problem with them, James, but always don't forget to stay in contact with me and let me know what's going on. I'm still the coordinator for the department after a meeting we had. I probably shouldn't be sharing this with you because it is getting recorded. We had a meeting on I guess on the 19th was the last day. And it was, of course, an evening meeting, and I won't even get into what it's all about and stuff, but I got pretty verbal with our dean. So as of right now, I'll be teaching through spring, but I don't know if I'll be here after that. So I won't say any more on that, but I did get pretty verbal. Anyway, so yeah, James Meek, yeah, stay in touch, all of you, stay in touch. Let me know how it goes. If you have any problems with the department, like I said, I should still be here through spring. Who knows after that? That's when my contract ends. And James Meek says, yeah, you'll stay in touch. Great. Appreciate that. And you guys, even after you graduate, please stay in touch. Let me know, if we got you work or you found work on your own, or if you went in a different direction and are working somewhere else completely, to stay in touch. Let me know how you're doing. Would love to hear how your career path is going. After you graduate, if you're looking for work, you're alumni, come back to me and just check with me and see what we have. So yeah, definitely. I like to stay in touch with all the students, and just it really does inspire me, and it warms my heart when I see success stories on how people are either doing different work or doing drafting work, whatever field they go into. It makes me feel like my job is worthwhile and that I'm accomplishing something, even so I'm just talking into this box now. And I hope next fall we are back in classes. I don't know where all this is going to go, but anyway, this is I have to admit I do like working at home. The commute is really short. I'm saving on gas, wear and tear on the cars, which we drive older cars, so that's a blessing. There's a lot of benefits to it. My wife doesn't always like it, but anyway. But I really miss the face-to-face, the interaction, and with the students. All right, so back to the James Meek. Way to go! You got me off track here. Just kidding. So I will open it up on the 9th. So that will be the instructions on part 1 and part 2. Now you can submit on the 9th all the way up to the 15th at 11:59. The last time you can submit. That's for the final exam. So if you get done early and when submitted in, you only get one submission. So when you send it in, that's it. All right, make sure it's done right, because I'm going to grade what I see. I'm not going to send it back to you. Oh, you forgot to something. I'm not going to do that. This is your final exam. So with that said, as we're moving forward, you guys have all the information you need, except for a couple more presentations. I think we have 2 or 3 this week, and I don't believe I have but 1 the following week. next week presentation. So you have 99% of the information you need to apply to both projects. We've gone all the way through all the criteria. We've gone all through all the things we're going to be covering uh, within this class. And let me just skip all the way to real quick here. No, that's nice. It wasn't like that a few minutes ago. I don't know. Anyway, we've gone site analysis all the way through all these things. We're going to talk about project specifications this week, but we've covered all this stuff. So you guys are on track to have a perfect final project rotunda and final exam for your front yard project. All right. So that is the final exam. That's when it will open up. That's how it's going to go down. So with that going forward, I'm not going to review any more final projects. Okay, you're going to be working on this as a final exam. Just picture yourself one day in the class taking this final exam, completing this project. So you can't, of course, in the final exam, you can't ask any questions. I'm not going to review any of the projects anymore. You can't send them in for review, but I will still answer questions, obviously. So what is a backflow preventer? That type of thing. I'll answer questions, but just treat this as a final exam because we have covered, like I said, 99% of the information in here. All right. With that said, I'll open it up to any questions on here. I will get this out as an announcement and part 1 and part 2 and everything I just talked about here shortly. And I don't see any, either you guys are still asleep or still full on turkey. Oh, we barbecued it's just the two of us, my wife and myself, a tenderloin breast, turkey tenderloin breast, and I barbecued that. She did some marinating on that, great marinade, barbecued that on, and we had some vegetable kebabs, just different types of vegetables. I had about 4 or 5 of those, and then barbecued also some corn on the cob, and then she microwaved some sweet potatoes. So we just had this mac out feast, and then she makes this great dessert too, so as well. So we just yeah, it was just, I wasn't overly stuffed from the meal. I was full. It was really great. And then we had the dessert, and they just put me over the top. And of course, we had to walk for about half an hour to be able to breathe after that. So hopefully, you all enjoyed just a great time with family. We have, our son is out here. He lives in Garland, and with his wife and our granddaughter, but they didn't make it over, and because of COVID and all that stuff. So, and then my 3 brothers are in. I don't want to tell you what that just reminded me of. My 3 brothers are in California, and then my dad and his wife are in England right now. So they spent about 6 months in England, 6 months in California, back and forth. So we didn't get to see anybody. We talked to a few people, but that was about it. Saw the neighbors more than anything, I guess. So Larry says wives don't always like. Yeah. Okay. No comment, Larry. Understand. Yep. All right. Anything else? No questions on that? Or I know a couple of you are happy about it. I guess the rest of you are sad about it. I don't know about the final exam. All right. All right. So if there are not, Jesse says, what are the 16 detailed drawings we need for each project? I believe they're listed. If you go back through there, let's see, was it announcements? I think it was in lessons, but it is listed. Let's see, I'm reading through here. So right here in announcements, I'm just happen to be looking at it. Announcements, which was the last one, Jesse, that went out. It lists The table sheet will have plant materials, irrigation list, um, material list, quantities, cost, detail sheet. I'm sorry, I was reading the wrong one. Sheet number 5, detail, planting detail, construction detail, irrigation details, and there's plenty of examples on any of those. So there, that Jesse, that answers that hopefully for you. James says 4 construction, 4 planting, 8 irrigation. Very good, James Meek. Thank you for that. Quick at the fingers there, faster than I could read, James Meek. And Jesse says he got it. You're welcome. Between James Meek and myself, we answered that. So excellent. Um, you were just looking at it, okay? Good call. Yeah, I was looking at it and couldn't get to the right place. I guess it's Monday, right? Yeah, a little tough. I didn't sleep in, every single day, but the days I slept in, really, really nice. So staying up late and getting up later is always a nice thing. So, all right. Well, to let you know, it's just about 1 o'clock. James Meek says, "Oh, and can statute court as construction details or too easy?" Oh, statute count as a construction details. Well, no, not really, James, because if you have a statute, you have to, the construction detail of the statute would be how the statute is an amendment, amenity, right? So how is that statute supported, or how is it in place? You don't just plunk it on some soil, right? You have to do leveling and maybe a foundation pad, a concrete pad, or maybe it's on ground. If it's top heavy, of course you have safety. Therefore, you'd have maybe a concrete pad with anchor bolts. So that would be a construction detail for your statute. So good question on that. Anything else? We're talking about detail sheets, but any one of those sheets, I'm just looking at here at the 6 sheets, which is same 6 sheets apply to the front yard project as well. So any other questions on that? Like I said, I'll answer questions on it. I think 99% of the information I got out to you, and the other 1% you guys have been asking. So you guys have been asking some great questions. So hopefully you guys take some notes on that. And go ahead, Larry.
Okay, so you're saying we don't turn in the set like Eric M's example?
Well, as you remember in lecture, Eric, as we're referring to Eric's for the planting detail, I'm sorry, the sprinkler detail, I said there were some good points and some bad points about it, because there's a couple of different sprinkler detail or sprinkler designs on that. So I pointed out the good and the bad. So on, I think it was PowerPoint number 3 on irrigation, 2 or 3 had a great example on how to lay out a irrigation detail. So I know what you're saying, Larry. So don't use his examples too closely. What we're concentrating on is the way that that I have designated the 6 sheets. For example, in announcements, if you take a look at announcements. So if you follow that format, that's the way to turn it in.
Okay.
All right.
So not one PDF with all 12 on there.
No. And
okay, that's how guys set up on there.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a PDF of one project, a DWG and PDF of one project, and PDF and DWG of the other project.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? And James Mink says, Larry, that I said also it was a different project the guy was working on. Yeah. So, yeah, different project, different format. I pointed out the good and the bad and the ugly on that. I try to do that on all examples. I haven't had a student turn in for landscaping anyway, a perfect example. Even in my intro classes on 2-point perspectives, not perfect examples. I always critique them. Some things that could be changed to, and I don't know, and I'll come back to the comments in a second. I don't know if there is a perfect example of something. It's because drawings are very, to a degree, a very objective type of things. I try to tell you what I'm looking for and what I want, and that's what I'm looking at when I look at your drawings. And so if you don't hit the mark, that's what I comment on. But it's kind of like resume writing, right? I've always said this, in resume writing, you can take your one resume and have 5 people and hand that one resume off to 5 people and get 25 different responses. It's just how they're looking at it, what they're looking at. It can be objective in that sense. All right. Let's see. James McGinn says just listening for now. Okay. Thanks, James. And Javier, on construction detail, do you need to add detail on soil and concrete? On construction details, do we need to add detail on soil and concrete? If you're doing any grading, well, that gets back to if you're moving soil, Javier, if you're moving soil and you need a retaining wall, that would be a construction detail. If you're putting concrete in, of course, you have to have a detail on how thick the concrete is, anchor bolts, plates, things like that. So hopefully I answered it, Javier, on that for construction details. So kind of back to James Meek's question about the statue, you have to look a little further. What are you doing in the construction? What are you doing with the statue? What are you doing with the plant? A plant is not a construction or a planting detail, the plant in itself. But how that root ball is going in, the depth of the hole, the staking of it, deep root watering, all those are details that deal with the plant. The foundation, maybe there's a sleeper wall for retainment. So that sleeper wall has to be not only called out in construction as materials, but how is the foundation of that sleeper wall being held in place? So you have to go a little bit further, Javier, than hopefully I answered your question. Let me know on that. I'm going to go to James Meek here in a second, but let me know if I answered, Javier, on your question on that. James Meek says, Javier, that is what I think would be appropriate. Now I'm confused. Javier says, thank you. James Meek.
I misunderstood him a little bit. I thought he was talking about like what you pretty much explained.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of trying to read into it, Javier. So hopefully, Javier, you did say thank you. So hopefully, sincerely, it was clear and not just, I didn't put just more mud in the water for you. So I often do that, especially online. Sometimes it's difficult to read. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna have a hard time hearing because I lost my microphone, so I have to use my laptop microphone. So okay. What I mean to say is like a detail like for foundation, the foundation sidewalk. When we add all that in detail.
Yes, for foundation.
Okay,
Yes, that would be construction.
I didn't add. I just add like a straight line of a sidewalk. Cause now I gotta add more details. Like you said, I gotta go deeper than that. Okay, gotta keep that in mind.
Right. Yeah, think a little bit deeper. So everybody, look at it. Javier, thank you for that question. That was great because, and back to James Meek too. Thank you for that because what you want to do is look at it a little deeper. Look at it as if you were going to do the job. So what kind of information would you need if you were out there with your shovel, with a backhoe, with a crew standing around like, well, now what do we do? What kind of information do you need to put that sidewalk in place? Or what kind of information do you need to order materials for that sleeper wall or to put that monument in place? All those things you need to ask yourself, and that will help you answer the questions on detail sheet. So great conversation, great questions. Thank you for bringing that up, because I'm sure other people have those questions. They're just not asking those, and they may be going down the wrong road. So hopefully that was clarity. So while we're looking at it, cover sheet, that's pretty straightforward. I saw got some great sketches in today of the front yard project, or actually you sent them in over the holiday, and I looked at them today, and some great sketching going on there. So 2-point perspective. One of the biggest things on your final for your final project, for both of them, or your final project and your front yard project, make sure you have on your cover sheet, make sure you have that index. That's the one thing it'll be looking for, and it states that on there. Make sure your index is in the title block. And then the site plan with vicinity map, make sure that's in the top right of the D sheet.
Oh, okay.
And then the site plan, the vicinity map is very simple. Don't put Google Maps in there. Usually if you took notes on it, it's just cross streets, calling out the site location, etc. So, and it's not any map or anything like that. It's not to scale. The landscape plan, that's when you go into full details of what you, and the site plan, let me back up, make sure you have the SWOT information on there in the title block. So I think I listed everything pretty much in detail here on this announcement. So if you look at this, you look on the past notes that you've taken, the past PowerPoints, if you can't find what specific information you need, then of course, bring it up either in class or email me and I'll get back to you. But no more reviewing of plans as of today. So, all right. So there's no more questions. It's just after 1 o'clock. So we're going to go completely into lab time today. Completely into lab time. Let me, and so yeah, we're going completely into lab time today. I will be here. I might step out to get a little more food, but I'll be here all the way till 3:15 to answer any questions and help you with any of the information on that. James Meek, go ahead.
So I just had a curiosity question about so I have dogwood for my hedges that you saw, and scientifically that's a tree, but horticulturally it's usually used as a shrub. In my chart, what do you want me to classify it as? Because I classified it as a shrub because that's what most landscaping stuff considers it. But like as I said, scientifically it's a tree.
Yeah, so go ahead, and that gets well. As far as horticulture, yes, you're correct. That's how you would list it in your detail sheet as a shrub, because that's the way it's listed. Where you get into technicalities, and I just answered your question, hopefully, and I'm going to move into to another point. What happens with the scientific portion or whatever other portion is how you maintain the tree.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So we have some of those. I'm trying to think of what we have here. There's some species that you can prune into a shrub, or you can prune bottom up, and they will canopy as a tree, a very short tree, but they'll canopy as a tree. So it depends how they're maintained. But yes, to your point, list them as a shrub. Good.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else out there? Good question, James. All right. I'm just going to take a small break here, and I will be back probably in about 10 minutes, so about 20 after, 21 after, somewhere there. I'll be back, but I'll be here monitoring questions during lab time. So you have the rest of today's class to work on your final exams, plural. And tomorrow we'll get into project specifications on lecture 1 on that, and then we have a second lecture on that this week as well. So that's what's ahead of us. Knock it out of the park, you guys. And again, I will open up on the 9th for the final exam. I'm going to get the announcement sent out in just a few minutes with all these details for the final exam. All right, I will stop the recording and I will be back here in 10 minutes to monitor the lab. Talk to you all soon.